Hello and welcome to Huge Fans. I'm Catherine.
It's Liz.
I'm Ed.
And John.
Okay, so this episode, Jeff Goldblum. Oh, a delight. I mean, just across the board. Every time I see him, I'm always like, yeah, love you. Love your whole Vibola, everything you're doing.
Yeah, he's like fine wine. He's literally only gotten better and better.
Speaking of which,
and embraced himself, his,
uniqueness.
Jeff-isms.
Yeah.
More and more and more. Yes.
I was going to say better and better, like a fine wine. I really was shocked to discover that he is on the crest of his 70th birthday.
What?
Born in 1952.
Silver Fox, man.
I mean, the energy level, the funness of him, 70 seems crazy.
Well, because, right now coming out is what seems to be the wrap-up Jurassic Park, right?
I think this is the last of this version of the cast. I mean, they might, who knows, in the very distant future, but they're saying that this is the end of this version of Jurassic Park. So it's Jurassic World Dominion is this last one that they're
But this
doing.
has, what we consider sort of the original cast members.
And this one in particular, they're definitely leaning
crossing
back into
over.
the OG cast.
The OG cast, but crossing over with what is the
Chris Pratt
and
Bryce Dallas Howard.
Right. So, and he's out there promoting it. And I know, John, you don't like to watch trailers.
Correct.
But I love a trailer.
So, and we're huge fans. So this is just a light joke, but at his age, we're saying he's not too old. He's not a dinosaur.
Oh my God.
That was too much of a layup for people. You can't. That was just laid at
That
the
was
feet
good.
of Ed. Yeah.
I can't even. I didn't see it coming, and it was perfect.
Well, it was like a velociraptor. It
Oh
came
my
in from
God.
the sides.
Oh, no.
Clever girl.
oh, ew.
Okay, so Jeff Goldblum, I think overall is sort of a beloved, elderman now in almost the 70s of the industry.
I know, but I don't think people think of him as an older guy.
I don't
for
think-
sure. Even though he is going like he's embracing the gray completely.
I think you have to remember our own perspective.
Oh, I guess that's
so
true.
if you asked, this younger generation, Ethan, Jack, whatever, they'd be like, yeah,
That old
he's
dude.
not young.
Yeah, well, that's true.
That's true. They'd be like, he is old. But here he is going to be in one of probably the biggest summer blockbusters, this Jurassic
franchise.
Park, which my son is excited to see, which Jeff Goldblum, is someone that he is aware of, even though he is very young. But yes, I think you're right, John. He would think of him, as I said, as an elder. So he has been around pretty much, far as back as I can go thinking of watching television or film, he's sort of been a presence, right?
Yeah, apparently first movie 74, first television 75.
Oh.
That's also skipping his Broadway experience, including 1971 Tony Award winning, rock musical Two Gentlemen of Verona. He was in the chorus with Stockard Channing.
Oh, really? Okay.
End of esoteric knowledge.
Well, we do know that he can sing and tickle the ivories.
The last interesting thing about that lead was Raul Julia.
Who's one of the best. He's a heartbreaker. That
I feel like he must have learned something from
he
him on
of course did. Well, he probably learned that a leading man does not necessarily have to fall in a particular category of a look. Because I think there are a lot of women, and myself included, that put him in what would be considered the nerd category until there were a couple movies, the first Jurassic Park definitely being one of them, that went, hello, Jeff.
He's like, no, I'm a sexy man.
Mother
Yeah.
effer. Like,
Well, he didn't stay a sexy MFer in The Fly, but I think The Fly is 100%. He was the sex symbol of that movie. He was like the draw. He was attracting everything, so to speak.
They had us watch that in a college film class, and I was like,
Oh, really?
I was not expecting this level of Jeff Goldblum shirtlessness and supposedly sex symbol. I was shocked.
I think they were, somebody somewhere went, hey, wait a minute. There's an angle here we've not really tapped into about you yet. And it was like, let's go hard.
I think it was probably just a budget issue with The Fly. They're like, listen, we got to do all these special effects. We can't afford shirts.
No,
Who are we going to hire? Jeff, you're in.
Because
Well, maybe
Gina and him were married, so she definitely bought it. Listen, a lot of his co-stars have been like, hell yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. He's a good-looking dude. I mean, I like how he says, "I'm 6'4" and a skosh." He's a tall man and always been in very good shape.
Carries himself and comes off. I assume it's not a put on, intellectual.
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, he's a smart dude.
Yes, there's an element of him that when he plays a scientist or someone of knowledge, you believe it. So television and film has been something he's overlapped, which is not always true. We are of the generation that a movie star rarely dips their toe back into television.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a, not stigmatism around it, or stigma? Stigmatism is your glasses, right?
Yeah, no, there's a stigmatism around it. People just stare right past it as if they don't, it's all blurry to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's when you're looking at it, I could be wrong, but Jeff did not have the leading man, actual A-list forever status.
No, I agree.
Even The Fly is 86. So, that's already, other things have happened at that point. He's already done so many one-off episodes of television that are crazy. But then it's it doesn't, so okay, then there's Jurassic Park later and whatever. And then he's so television kind of slows down, but everyone bubbles back up. It's interesting ones that come up. You're okay, these are, not star turns, but they make sense. And then it's he's you know what? I'll take all the gigs.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I mean, look, actors got to work for sure. It's interesting the big television ones, Reigns, and then the Law and Order: Criminal Intent. Those were the two in my memory. I feel like those.
But see, I feel like that's this period after. So it's you're talking about 2007 and then later 2009. That's when it's I should do the gigs.
Yeah.
You want me to do this? I'm gonna do it.
Sure, do it.
Also, Jeff, we're not asking you to really go for anything wild. You could just keep rolling the Jeff into these characters. That's how they're being written.
Well, I remember him being on Larry Sanders and the Gary Shandling show, and that was
isn't that
a
the same?
heightened
Isn't that
version
the
of
same
himself.
thing?
Yes.
Isn't that the same thing, Liz?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, but so that is, I feel his low period. That was his actual height as a film actor, and so he was doing less television. It's The Simpsons, Larry Sanders, Saturday Night Live, Mr. Show. There's less of it. Friends.
He did a fabulous couple episodes on Will and Grace.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was one where he thought, he's willing to play. He is really willing to, send himself up, but at the same time, I think because it was him and Will possibly might have been a flirtation, if I remember correctly. And that was a huge show, its first run, Will and Grace. So,
gigantic.
But still, it was pre. We're going to get into Law and Order, Criminal Intent.
Yeah, but I feel that is actually maybe the crossover moment, Will and Grace, where it's okay, I'm doing these big shows. 3-episode arc, nominated for an Emmy.
Right.
All right, how about I keep doing this every once in a while, and if I can find the right thing, a couple years later, it's his own show, but, more so than it had been in the years previous.
Yeah, and I remember being surprised because, we're going a little all over his timeline, but Criminal Intent, he'd already established himself. I do feel like he was considered, of the movie star caliber.
Oh, huge. Yeah, for sure. He was a huge movie star.
He was definitely in a spot where if Jeff Goldblum's in it, that's probably a lead character, a big character. He's not playing a side character necessarily.
Yes, but also I will say there are films, and we'll get into them, that he will play a side character. But man, does he add the flavor in there.
He's bringing his own Jeffism.
He doesn't do any small performances.
Well, even him small, that's
small.
the movie star thing. It's a small part has a lot of flavor. So that's two of my favorite performances of him are I don't even know if you're in 6 scenes.
Oh, okay. We gotta get you. All right. Well, we'll wrap up the Law and Order Criminal Intent sort of angle, because actually it was only a year or so.
I think it was 2 years. He did
it wasn't
2
that
seasons,
much. Yeah,
24 episodes.
Okay, so and he played Zach Nichols, and I watch everything Law and Order, so I was so thrilled when he was on it. But they gave him an interesting backstory. He was blended in with some existing characters who are already going on Criminal Intent, because that series originated with Vincent D'Onofrio, and then I think he came in next. He was totally enjoyable. Loved it. The backstory of I think it was his sister had mental illness, or there was,
Oh God, I'd forgotten about that.
So there was, it was one of those things that he brought the layers. Sometimes you have a movie star come in and the pace of network television and delivering
Production-wise, yeah.
production is different, and you can almost see them struggling to find a rhythm. He seemed to do great because I think, you go back on his.
He's got a lot of different gears.
That Starsky and Hutch experience paid off.
Yes, exactly. Columbo. So I think he had enough experience in television to be able to bring that
To roll with that,
and roll
yeah.
with it. So he was fantastic. But that I think might have been the biggest television series that, it was 1 or 2 seasons. It was significant. Otherwise, I think there's been a lot of guest parts.
Yeah, because the Reigns one that I was referring to, that didn't run very long. I remember seeing it, but it was not
7 episodes.
Yeah, it was not a big success.
I mean, Portlandia.
Yeah, that's right. Mhm.
Which is an awesome series. He had a couple episodes in that as well.
I mean, his list of characters on that starts normal and then gets crazy.
Bananas. Yeah.
Well, that's, that he embraces that as pretty amazeballs. And now there is, he's of the Marvel world, and there was a TV sort of multiverse called What If? And that was animated, and he did a voice in that was pretty cool. But,
Well, I mean, that first MCU universe movie, that Thor movie, Ragnarok that he was in, he was unbelievable. So,
Grandmaster. He's going to be in the upcoming one this year.
Yeah, I saw him
you
doing.
got to bring him back.
Yeah, I saw him doing some interview, when I was prepping for this. That was before that was like clearly announced. And he was so funny. He was like, I have a secret. Oh, I have a secret. I don't know if I could. Okay, but I mean, the Grandmaster. I can't talk about that. You're like, oh my God, you're so amazing.
Well, speaking of him just being himself, his quirky self, there is on Netflix.
No. It's Disney Plus.
Okay, so then...
Because it's a Nat Geo show, yeah.
Right. The World According to Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, it's incredible.
It's so enjoyable. There are things I just say, it's just a delight. Like, it's just you watch it and it's him and unique situations, learning about it, asking questions.
It's a lot of Jeff Goldblum.
Being bemused and curious. And,
super bemused.
Oh, just like, befuddled and now enlightened. I mean, like every scope of emotion on his face, like surprised, delighted. I mean, it's so, if you are even the least little fan of his and you just want to be transported, out of your daily doldrum, The World According to Jeff Goldblum on Disney Plus.
On Disney Plus. It's fantastic.
So it's him learning about things. What are you going to say, John?
Very different from his apartments.com.
I do love those ads. They're
but it's
so
still great. Yeah,
and they're still going. I still see them.
Yeah, because obviously the feedback on it, the data, he has been well received as a spokesperson for finding your apartment. What? But I mean, you want to go, what was the pitch that he agreed to that?
Maybe that they'll pay him?
I don't know that we've talked about this on a podcast, but, big time actors doing commercials or being like a spokesperson for commercials. He's a part of it because he's
for
doing
sure.
these.
He's like, whatever. But I like that it's, it's not like boring. He's like, oh no, I'll do it, but it's got to be very Jeff-ish.
Yes, that's why it makes sense. Well, not that it makes sense for apartments.com, but it makes sense that it's Jeff.
What he's doing is making sense.
But once again, you can see he's sort of, there's an element of that's like a wink wink. Like,
oh yeah.
That you kind of go like,
he's embraced the absurdity of, this is me doing a commercial for apartments. I'm just getting paid. Get an apartment. It's great.
Kathy, did you ever watch Search Party?
I was about to bring that up.
I did. Yeah.
Okay, so he had a couple episodes on that show.
I don't think I got that far. I think
Tunnel Quinn, you missed out on him.
No, I don't think I got that far.
Seasons, I think, so far.
It's
I don't know,
5
6
seasons
episodes of Jeff, though.
Okay, yeah, because I really only watched the first season.
Oh, well, there you go. It's a very HBO Max, I think it's on. It's a fun show.
Yeah, I'm also confusing it with what's that other show that's about, them stranded on an island or something. I feel like it's a search in the name. Yeah, Wrecked. And I think, isn't there another one also? Anyway, that's my problem. I didn't realize it was that one. Not
Lost. But he wasn't on an episode of Lost. That definitely seems like he should have been.
I don't think he was.
You know, it's weird because I feel like in a series like Lost, if you don't get someone like a Jeff Goldblum, who would have been a perfect match? Like, I don't know what he'd be in charge of if he was like, oh, I came up with the idea of the island moving. We buy that, Jeff. we buy that wholesale. But it feels like this doesn't happen in almost anything, the actual existence of like a character or something like that. It feels like Lost would have referenced Jeff Goldblum in like Jurassic Park, and then they can't have him on without having him be
gotcha.
too meta.
Too meta. Well, so we know he
Cause
did
chaos.
early days. So you're talking about he did Broadway, which is a big training ground. Started off doing some episodic television, Columbo, Starsky and Hutch, and then eventually made his way into movies. So what was, his first movie?
Well, I mean, I don't know. According to some place, it says Death Wish, Charles
Ooh.
Bronson. He was freak number 1.
Yeah,
Whoa, okay.
That's not in my repertoire.
I had not seen the movie, but in an interview, he talked about it and that he said it was the first movie he auditioned for. And
Whoa.
I know. And he got yelled at by the director. I forget who the director was, but he said he was notoriously mean. And he said the first scene I was in, I walked out and he yelled, "Jeff! Start acting now!" And he was like, "Whoa!" He's like,
That's some good directing.
and he was like,
freak
"That
number 1.
Yeah, he was like that was actually not a bad note. I mean, yeah, I got on it. It's very funny.
So I think, he supposedly moved to New York at 17. So he was probably about 20 at this point.
Ooh.
I mean, he was just a tall, skinny man because they showed some clips in this interview. I think it was for Vanity Fair or GQ, and it was like Jeff Goldblum talks about his critical roles or whatever.
Critical role.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum on his own big movies or something like that. And
Death Wish was actually a huge movie, but it was way before.
Yeah,
your
it was
time.
not really on my radar.
No,
for
no.
sure.
I think the first, and Annie Hall, but he was just a party guest.
Also Nashville, apparently.
Oh, I did not know about that. The first movie that I really remember thinking, who is that? Oh, it's a real movie, was The Big Chill.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember watching it a few years after it came out, probably babysitting at someone's house, so then I was watching it like, sneaky watching it. Because
Oh, yeah. We weren't
was
supposed to be
not
watching that.
allowed to watch
No.
that. Now, for those of you who don't know, The Big
So if that was 83, it was probably on cable like maybe a year or so after
2
that.
years. Back then, that was a longer haul. So
Yeah, it was-
2 years?
Yeah.
I might have been watching it like even later than that. But that was my first. And so by that time, there might have been other things that have come out where I was aware of him. But by the time I watched it, it had been out for a few years. And for those of you who don't know, The Big Chill was a big ensemble movie. Larry, I don't know him, so we say Lawrence Kasdan, was the director of it. And it was a group of friends gathering to sort of...
It was mourn the death of a friend who was
Right.
never shown. And I think is very ironic because, of course, that was Kevin Costner. And it was one of his big first roles. And he was not shown in the movie.
Well, he was supposedly devastated because they did shoot scenes
they
of
shot
him,
all the like flashback scenes with
and
him.
they ended up cutting out, which was an interesting choice for the director. They ended up cutting out anything to do with his face so that you, as the audience member, the logic I remember hearing was that you didn't invest in him in some ways because he was gone. You invested in these characters that were here and their memory of him. So
their friendship
doesn't
and getting-
he doesn't
yeah.
get stuck in our head, which I actually thought was but
It was
poor
very
Kevin Costner
genius,
was
yeah.
probably like, oh my God.
Having his Mike Wazowski moment. I'm in the movie. Not really, dude.
Sorry, it's just your hands in the funeral in the
And it
funeral
was
parlor
a
scene. or whatever.
huge hit.
Yeah.
Huge. But Jeff Goldblum was not considered like a sexy man in that movie. No. That's not who you kind of look to as like, oh, the hot, one of the hot characters in it. Not at all. So then if you go down,
In your opinion, No, I'm
right?
just kidding.
Oh, no, for sure, no, not that. He was not considered sexy in that movie.
I mean, there's what? 4 guys?
right.
Okay. All right.
So he was not really the one.
Got it.
So then Into the Night, that was 1985, John Landis, who was freaking awesome, and Michelle Pfeiffer. So I have a feeling.
I don't remember Into the Night. I mean, I definitely remember The Big Chill.
Right.
And then, I mean, I'm already skipping all the way to The Fly, and that was just too scary for me. Even though I was completely aware of him, it was just, kind of
It was gross is what it was.
That's not my vibe. But, I mean, I did hear amazing stories of him having to be in the makeup chair at like 3 a.m. for 5 hours and just like, oh, God, that sounds horrific.
And you kind of question, I don't want to say that like some casting director was like, Jeff Goldblum, fly, Jeff Goldblum, fly, Jeff, fly. I see it. I mean, like, there's definitely an element like it really worked. Like,
I don't know, there's something about his physicality.
Right.
He's very good about like the way he moves.
He's
is
got
interesting.
big eyes, big expressive eyes. So when he started to get the fly mannerisms, it was really
I think
creepy.
it was the other way around in the audition for that. It's all right. We're auditioning for the fly, Jeff. We don't really have any lines for you. We just want you to kind of improv being a fly. And Jeff Goldblum went
Nailed
for
it.
it.
Yeah,
He
just
got
totally.
this weird leg moves going. They're like, well,
Yeah,
we
he's
just
in.
need some
He's
makeup, and
great.
I think we found our fly.
That's what I'm saying. So I think that might have been, for our generation, that might have been his star turn, where we really went like, whoa.
Yeah, well, I think it was like a big breakout in terms of both sexiness and leading man and
Genetics, like transportation across distances. Isn't that what that movie's
That's
about?
why I still think, flies are annoying, but I think I have a real, like, those assholes. I mean, that little fly just got right in that
One
machine and
can
effed
fly.
everything
what a
up.
jerk.
What a
Poor
jerk.
Gina Davis. She's still in love with this guy.
Well, literally and figuratively, they did end up getting married
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
and then divorced. But I mean, she was excited about that whole Jeff Goldblum situation.
Well, just on a biography note, I think she was his second wife. And then he
Right.
is now married for the third time and has 2 little kids.
Yeah.
Like 7-ish and 5-ish, something like that.
And she's a contortionist, so you love that.
What?
Oh, she is. I think so.
I did not realize
Yeah.
that.
Catherine has an aversion
Gymnast
to
to
Cirque du Soleil
contortionist.
type of contortionist. So,
I don't like it.
well, he does. Wait, did you
I
boys?
thought she was an aerialist. That's what I read. Isn't that the?
I think
I
she's-
guess that's kind of. The
I
was
heard
a-
she was
also
a
a gymnast.
cyclist. What?
She's a gymnast,
And
as
she
well.
likes to climb tall mountains. But
I think Liz was going to ask a different question.
The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai. I remember my husband Mark loved that movie. Is there any fans of that?
yeah.
That's
sure.
what I thought. Okay.
super weird sci-fi with
Craziness.
really great analog style effects and just stuff that you're like, wait, what are you talking about? I
What
don't
is
know. I don't know about science yet. So you're way ahead. You're way ahead of me. You flew through a mountain. You drove through a mountain. I don't understand driving. God, I want a license.
Oh my
it's
gosh.
a great movie.
I mean, great cast: John Lithgow, Christopher Lloyd, Peter Weller,
Yeah.
Ellen Barkin. I mean,
John Lithgow's got like one of the weirdest characters I think he's played in that one. I mean, he's played a couple different aliens. I think he might have something in tune
he
with that.
really is willing to like go there. His alien side.
he does play a lot of aliens.
Now that I'm thinking about it, with
Third
the number
Rock
of
from the
aliens that
Sun.
he plays, he could almost play Jeff Goldblum's alien father.
Oh,
If anyone's listening.
gosh. Oh my gosh.
The interesting thing would be the age difference. It's going to turn out to be like
5
2
years.
Yeah, not a lot. Not a lot.
All right, so then so that was on all of your radar, which is good because I definitely I think that was one we could actually watch in the house that mom wouldn't be like, "What is this? Turn it off." You
Well,
know?
what about Transylvania 65000? That wasn't really.
I gotta tell you, we do some prep for these. Sometimes you're like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna watch like all the Jurassic Parks. That was not a good use of my Jeff Goldblum prep time. He's not in the second half of the first one or the third one entirely of the original trilogy. But I did put on Transylvania 65000 as background playing while I was at work yesterday. Nope. I don't remember any of that movie.
I was
He's
gonna
not
say
particularly
wow.
great. I thought I liked that movie, but there's a couple set back in that time period. Like there's one with Gene Wilder where it's like a haunted house.
Gene Wilder? The Gene Wilder? No, just kidding.
It's like a haunted mansion or haunted honeymoon or something like that. That's the right time period for that style of movie. But for me, Transylvania 65000, not the Goldblum you want, and too much Begley.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, okay. So Earth Girls are easy.
Well, wait, just so we're
Yeah,
also.
yeah.
Has anyone seen? Was unaware of this. Another Lawrence Kasdan, a Western, Silverado.
Yes. I did see that.
And how is Jeff in a Western?
I don't know if he can do any wrong.
I don't disagree with that. I'm
He
just
would
saying.
need a really big horse. He's a tall dude.
He's not
First of all,
that tall.
horses are huge. He's fine.
Horses are huge.
What's interesting is that,
Feels like he would've been all black.
listen, this is a full circle moment because you have Kevin Kline and Kevin Costner. So you have fellow big chill people in it with him.
Which is Lawrence Kasdan again.
Right.
That
So
makes sense.
I think
But
it's
aren't they on
Kasdan
like the
casting.
good side, and he's not on the good side in that? I don't think he's part of the main
No,
Silverado
I know.
crew,
I don't think
right?
so. But Scott Glenn, because he also has a little part in The Right Stuff. This is almost repertoire casting.
Yeah,
when you
some
start looking at
crossover.
all these overlaps of
repeat casting.
the
yeah.
repeat casting of that almost like 10-year period. Because you go Gina Davis in The Fly, and then you're going to fast forward to Earth Girls Are Easy. It's like,
Yeah.
you're working with some of the same people.
Some people get in a circle and they come back around.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and next after The Fly was another Robert Altman. So from Nashville, he's in Beyond Therapy, which was
I
unaware
don't
of.
recall that, but yeah.
Yeah, that one I don't. I think as a kid, Beyond Therapy would not have appealed. It would have been like,
I think that
what?
also.
Let's just start with therapy. We don't need to go beyond that. Yeah, we can just start right there.
I was going to say, I think it goes to, repeat casting of actors by directors really speaks very highly of working with those people.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's both on the director side is good to work with, and the director thinks of that actor is good to work with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's a comfort level that the person can deliver
Yeah.
and that you're safe with them. So, yeah. So
Now, I don't think there's a crossover with this, but so one of his next movies is Vibes.
Sweet. I love
But what
vibes.
I didn't realize, so it's him and Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah.
But then
I don't remember.
that.
just before you get into that, what you may not have realized is Ken Kwapis directed it. I don't know how you say his name exactly, but he's the guy who did so much of The Office.
Oh, really?
And then before he does like Dunstan Checked In and his other movies. But
Interesting.
Whoa, okay. I actually remember seeing that movie. And I mean, Cyndi Lauper, I think, played a version of herself, kind of. But, Cyndi Lauper, but that is in her heyday.
what I thought this was off track, but now I feel like it's on track. But this was his second movie his third movie. Second movie was Follow That Bird. It was the Sesame Street Big Bird movie.
Oh my God, really?
He's a crazy man. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, Jeff was not in that, but whatever.
Who knows? It could have been Big Bird. We don't know.
Actually, I was going to say, was he Big Bird? Okay, so...
All right, so you had Vibes, and then that went into Earth Girls Are Easy. So totally different.
Which was them with his wife, Gina Davis. And I remember I had fond memories of it, I remember them trying to make there were 3 alien dudes, and he was one of them. And she, at the end, somehow the alien facade is stripped away. And now we're dealing with Jeff Goldblum, and she was very excited. That's like takeaway from it. And you were like, oh, okay. Like, still, I'm telling you, of a certain age as a girl, I still was not like, Jeff Goldblum. I was like, okay, weird Jeff Goldblum. Like, I was not, because I do think The Fly was too gross. That the age that I was at, like I couldn't see him
in general,
that way.
like the energy that he puts out very soon after. I'm not trying to jump ahead in Jurassic Park. It's like 5 years later, from '88 to '93. The energy he's putting out isn't like, I'm a weird alien, you might be into me. It is now, I am the rock star of math and science.
Oh, yeah.
You are into me. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, man.
Well, the player was also a Robert
Altman,
Altman.
yep.
So he,
Yeah.
I mean, we can't do his whole IMDb page because God love him. There's a lot.
We're going to go back for a little bit.
So
did anyone watch The Tall Guy? Because that looks insane to me. It was also a Richard Curtis written movie.
Oh,
I don't remember
Richard
it.
Curtis.
Yeah, in 1989.
Now the other reference
Finally,
to
a
Richard.
comedy you can look up to.
Oh, well,
Oh, I love.
Wait, hold
that.
on. Who's the director of The Tall Guy, John?
Mel Smith.
Is that the Mel Smith that ended up directing a lot of stuff from The Princess Bride? I'm only asking because that's the exact same name.
Well, and I was going to say Richard Curtis. For those of you that don't know him, that's Love Actually, right?
Yes, and Mel Smith.
Oh my gosh, full circle for us.
Nice.
Princess Bride, isn't he?
He's the albino. I
He's
think.
the albino, yeah.
Which
I
he
mean,
didn't
that's
do
what
much
Ed was-
afterwards, and
yeah.
we were like, oh yeah, he
the
directed a bunch
albino
of stuff.
torture. He's doing the torture chamber.
Fezzik, what did you do with the albino? I let him direct TV and movies.
Apparently.
Oh my gosh, we didn't even know that connection.
I love that the tall guy, obviously, you needed a tall guy. So, Jeff,
well,
come
how
on.
tall is he?
6'4" and a skosh.
Oh,
That's tall.
That is tall, actually.
That's what he says.
He directed Bean, which is awesome.
Yes, the albino Mel Smith. Yes,
All right, well then, so
he did do things for sure.
another crossover that you just picked out of the, nuances of all the Jeff Goldblum. But when you work this much for this long,
Oh, there's a lot.
yeah, there's a lot of
Also,
crossover and
we're
interesting.
fans of some pretty awesome stuff, so it makes sense that those people would end up working together, which is why we're a big fan of the stuff that they're doing.
Well, I mean, obviously, there's going to be a big crossover to a huge fans connection coming up.
Now I'm skipping over the Spanish erotic thriller,
Which one? Which one
El
is that?
Sueño del Mono Loco. Which,
What the?
yes, apparently, look, who wouldn't put Jeff in that? But then the one I do want to ask is this: The
impressed.
Favor of the Watcher and the Very Big Fish. I feel like I need
I
to see
feel
that.
like
Him
I
and
know
Bob
that.
Hoskins.
I have never heard of that one.
Does he play the piano in it?
I don't know.
Favor
It
of the
seems
Watcher.
hilarious.
Set in Paris, I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
That's why he was in. He was
Bob
like,
Hoskins,
oh,
Natasha
okay.
Richardson. Oh, it seems so familiar.
I
don't
mean,
remember it, though.
91. How did you not? This was your film.
That was my
heyday.
And also,
my heyday.
not trying to expose our secret nugget of awesome story at the end, but him playing a pianist is
I know, it's a little on
exactly
brand.
correct.
Yeah.
I'm into that.
I like that.
Okay, so now, I think we can skip to the one we've already talked about,
The first Jurassic Park.
Dr. Ian Malcolm.
What? No. Jurassic.
Yes.
Oh, yes, his character's
His
name.
character,
yes.
Dr. Ian Malcolm.
So 1993, the first Jurassic Park. And,
I mean, he was a revelation.
Well, yeah,
wasn't
because he was not, quote unquote, the lead.
No, but he was
And-
certainly the most sexy.
And he absolutely stole
Every scene
he was in.
Well, they did.
I
look,
love a low button black collared shirt. Oh my
And I-
God. I
you
think
got-
that's why I still, my husband, I'm like, take one button down. I think it's rooted in that.
No, it's fantastic.
No.
Oh,
No,
so
my God.
hot. Yeah.
But you
Oh,
gotta
my God.
you gotta wonder, like, okay, you're planning out this movie, you're directing, you're like, okay, well, we have our game warden who's gonna be wearing, his khakis all the time, and we've got, him, he's wearing also khakis, and we got this guy who's wearing button-down shirts. We need to show a little skin somewhere. Who's gonna maybe our sexy doctor, or PhD smart guy?
Yeah, could you imagine, like,
All these science and
you're going to travel to a tropical island. I need a black leather jacket dressed all in black. I mean, the humidity, he should have been sweltering hot. I
That's
mean,
why you gotta unbutton those buttons.
that's what I'm
Okay,
saying.
I have little anecdotal stuff that he shared in an interview, which I find amazing. First, on the costuming, apparently he had brought in the glasses and some of the elements. He's like, I kind of feel like this would be his vibe. So he actually, had
you,
some
Jeff.
influence.
he understood the TED Talk nature of the character he was playing before those existed or anyone knew what they were. He's like, no, this guy's a rock star in his universe. He'd absolutely take the stage like Elvis in a full leather onesie. I'm in.
Which
I'm
is
doing
so
it. I
funny
brought
because he's
mine.
a scientist.
He's
So,
like,
but
yeah.
I'm sure that, where did that archetype start? I don't know.
I like the rock star scientist. Who
but-
said that? Somebody? Did you say that, Ed? Yeah, that was
so
the vibe.
I feel like it might have started before this somewhere, but yes, this is a good exhibit A of it.
Before that happened, the costuming, integration of his own ideas, he apparently had a meeting with Steven Spielberg. And Steven was like, just to let you know, we're in the process of doing some rewrites, and there's been a lot of ideas about getting rid of this character and kind of integrating it into the character of Grant, played by Sam Neill.
Okay.
So Steven is telling Jeff
Oh,
Goldblum.
and they did that from the book into the movie. There's entire 2-person
course,
security teams. It's
condensing.
a dude, just one dude now.
So, and Jeff had said he had read the book and, in preparation for this meeting and was like, oh shit, you're telling me basically this character is maybe not going to exist. So this might be, and he's like, so this meeting could be a moot point if you get rid of this character. So
This is chaos.
yeah, in multiple interviews, he's basically, oh, that's funny. Nice. In multiple interviews, he's basically said, so I felt like I had to pitch and sort of defend the idea of having this character. And I don't remember exactly what I said, but I guess it worked because he stayed in it and I got the part. So,
I can only imagine Jeff in the moment moment trying to figure out how do I salvage this character I really want to play. Steven, you're standing on the shoulders of giants. And you don't even understand what you're doing.
I mean, I think it's really interesting because I'm
Use
sure
that line in the movie.
And he got a girl in the end too, because he ended up dating Laura Dern after that. When he does that little drop of water,
that
trickle,
is ridiculous.
I think she was getting excited there. She was ready to
in real life
friggin' leave Sam Neill in a second.
I was just watching some, review of like I'm still going to defend that Dr. Sam Neill's character and Laura Dern's character were not together. You're like, yeah. That's super obvious. He's way too old for her, and like that's a senior work relationship where she's razzing him because she's like 23.
They
in the
never
actual
kiss
movie.
in the movie.
But
but I thought the vibe was they were together.
That's what I'm saying. That there is people who are trying to read that there is a them together vibe, and absolutely, Sam Neill's character totally says, "Yeah, I'm with her." Friggin' Malcolm, back off.
Yeah.
However, for the past entire time that you've been flirting and hitting on her, I don't pay attention to that because I'm actually not with her. I'm just being a courteous co-worker and defending her from you sleazy slime ball. Awesome, dude. Oh, you're actually gonna get married later? Never mind.
Jesus,
I got that
the
wrong.
backstory. Okay, but I mean, yeah. I mean, that was the other element of him. He just exuded sexuality.
Yeah.
So even talking to her, the character Ellie, and where he's dropping water droplets on her
as the example of chaos.
That had a charged sexuality to it that I
very
was
purposeful.
not written played by a different actor.
no.
I don't think that would have been in there. So that was why he was a revelation in this part. When he had the broken leg and he's in the back, and now the shirt I literally think is hanging on by one button, and he's now hot and sweaty.
Let's go faster.
Oh man, he is so sexy in that scene. You're like, good God, I will be your nurse. I will bring you back to health. So,
I'm pretty sure that what happened in the back of the Jeep as they're driving away from the T-Rex was he let his shirt out a little bit, and the T-Rex was like, all right, you can go.
The T-Rex ran faster toward him.
No, that's how the T-Rex is like, my heart, it's palpitations. I don't know what to do. Jeff,
He's so hot. I can't.
you look so tasty.
Yes, exactly. So I think, Jurassic Park it was revolutionary in the sense of its special effects.
Yeah.
What Steven Spielberg did with the dinosaurs was, that is why pretty much this month we're having the full circle moment. And Jeff Goldblum came back with the previous one as well to talk about sort of his version of chaos theory and that we are doomed and why do they always make them bigger. He has been an ongoing presence throughout all of them. And actually, I love this newer generation, one with Bryce and
Chris Pratt.
I love them. So, now that we're going to have them all together is so awesome.
Yeah. It'll be very fun. I mean, it seems like how could it not be,
Listen,
right?
just don't rip the Band-Aid off and frickin' Han Solo that dude. We need him to turn into the old white-haired dude who's still trying to run the parks and figure out how to make it work. We need him at like 90. So no killing him off, please.
But he, never, that was not his role to know how the park worked. It was basically, to...
Yes, but like Willy Wonka, you want the kid who doesn't know what should be done at a chocolate factory. You want the kid who's like, yeah, treat the Oompa Loompas right. Give them a union.
Right. I mean, listen.
The Raptors need a union. That's all I'm saying.
And, his combative... I think it was very necessary actually to have him in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Versus all of it on Sam Neill's shoulders because, there's that one of the opening scenes with Richard Attenborough. It is his character, Jeff's, Malcolm, sort of questioning the ethical perspective of like, but why do this, even if you can do it?
Mm-hmm.
It opens up the entire conversation to become a debate, which it's not being sold that way by the main characters. And even Sam Neill's character is so blown away by seeing the thing that he's dedicated his life to studying that doesn't exist anymore.
He's not good at being critical of it.
It's Malcolm's character really fills in a major plot point and device that you need in that, which is someone who is seeing past the magic.
Isn't it funny that it almost didn't exist, that somehow that character was not going to be there? It's like, what? It just was so critical in splitting up those two different agendas and points of view of those two characters. I love those behind the scene things.
And one decision could have, and that element had to be there. So, because listen, I like Sam Neill, but he's not sexy. And there really was, he really brought a little spice to that movie that would not have been there.
No, for sure.
None of that would have been there.
But again, if you had tried to combine that into like some weird version where there is a little bit of sexual attention, but it is also that he's blown away by dinosaurs existing, but he also understands that this is a bad direction to go in. But I love that there's two distinct characters. One that is all the math and science and figured it out, and he came in going, bad plan, guys. Bad plan. Period. And I'm just going to get beaten up by a dinosaur to prove it. you know, like
this is not going to go well.
Yeah.
That's a big pile of.
So then his next movie, I don't know what Hideaway is. Did anybody see that?
Hideaway.
Yeah, Lush Life, The Stand, Hideaway, 9 Months, Powder.
9 months.
Yeah, I mean, he worked a lot. He worked a lot. How many years is it until we get Independence Day?
Only 3. He was so great. Also, once again, a sexy scientist.
A sexy scientist. That's
who's
Sexy
always
recycling scientist.
Oh yeah,
riding his bike. Isn't he riding his bike in the beginning? Like
maybe in the most premium shape of his life. I'm saying he's like a little bit less filled out in Jurassic Park, and he is like ripped. He is like full on shouldered out. Walking around with that bike.
Here's the thing. Watching The Fly was like, oh, Jeff Goldblum has kind of always been into fitness or something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I just, one of the ones I also watched comes a little bit later. It's a 2003 movie, and his shirt is off a lot, and he is in great shape. So
good for him.
Jeff was in great shape for a long time.
He still is.
John and I were Independence Day is a movie I can watch again
Anytime
and again and again.
And dip into it for 5 minutes or half an hour,
For
wherever
sure.
it's
Bill
at.
Pullman is great. The character that plays his father, which
so fantastic.
which is ironic. David, which is ironic.
I didn't listen to him.
Judd Hirsch, which is hilarious because I don't think their age is dramatically different. Like, did you have your son at 10 years old?
David, slow down.
But Will Smith was like the lead in that, and there's so many great. Randy Quaid. I mean,
Judd Hirsch is a little bit older than him. He is a full 18 years older.
Okay, I mean, still.
Okay,
Judd Hirsch,
all right. It's a little bit of a stretch, but not that big of a stretch.
Harvey Firestein. Oh, man.
Mother. Okay.
I gotta call my mother.
Mom. Okay, so just really one of the better movies of that genre, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he just anchors it in, once again, his questioning, his challenging the authority. So it's like the military, why are we doing this? He's the one that figures out the whole
Why should the
twist.
government need help from you? You're just a cable guy.
Right. Oh, God. You got to listen to my David. So all I'll say is that, we're watching in the background.
It's a countdown.
Right. Oh, my. It holds up. It still totally holds up. So I think I just watched it in the last 2 years with my son, and right there in it, it's still good. It's great. So he has an ex-wife in it, but he's still wearing his wedding ring. So he's still, holds a candle for her. Margaret Collin, it was Constance, was her character's name. And, which that was, his little underbelly where he's still in love with her. So this one of the last scenes where Will Smith and him are walking on sand.
Oh, when they're walking back, iconic.
On the salt flats. And just the way he's walking, that strut with the cigar.
That swagger.
Oh my God. I mean, John and I are like, he's in incredible shape. And he's just
got that little kick.
Oh
One
my
of his legs
God.
kinda kicks a little bit.
My gosh. I mean, that's like, holy shit balls. I mean, like,
That-
so he only.
There is an element of Jeff Goldblum within his characters that is he is having a great frigging time making these movies, and he can't hold it back completely. So secretly, there's a little Jeff Goldblum smiling at you through everything he does, and you're like, "I love you, dude. This is
Actually,
I'm having a good time with you."
That I think is almost right on. It does feel like
The fun quality.
in that. There are moments that it's exactly like he is relishing the moment, and he's a little out of his body, but he's still in it enough that you're like,
He's like, I am
fucking love you,
playing
Jeff.
in this
This
Jeff
is
Goldblum
great.
suit, and it is so much fun.
I mean, he's like, you know how hot we look right now, walking on these salt flats with our cigars. Like that's
it's a great
He turns
shot.
to Will and he's like, this is like iconic. People are going to remember
Now-
this like Luke in the desert in front of his little spot with the sun in the background. This is us, man. We're gonna need
Now,
posters of this for
because we
ourselves.
obviously could talk about him forever. We're gonna have to do some.
Wait, I got to tell the little
what?
anecdote about that exact scene.
Oh, what?
So apparently Jeff is like, Mike, I'm not a good cigar smoker. I can't.
Oh, really?
He said, I can't
He
do
seemed
it.
very comfortable with
he
it.
says, I get super dizzy. So even just like and then of course in this interview, he's miming getting the cigar going. And you got to get, you got to get it going. You got to get it. And by the time you get it going, I'm already dizzy. I can't.
Yes.
So I had to have a PA. He said he had to have a PA. He's like, can you get this cigar going for me? Because I can't, I'm going to be too dizzy to do this walk. And we're going to have to smoke while we're walking.
God.
So
Love
he
it.
had a PA on the set, get the cigar going. And ironically, in this interview, which is fairly recent, he said, and this is when we're not as concerned with germs, because now it's COVID times. So he had this PA get the cigar going for him, and then they call action, and he takes the cigar, and then he starts doing his walk and does a couple puffs. He's like, but I couldn't have done it. I would have been falling over dizzy.
Green.
So
Probably.
he is a fantastic actor as well.
I mean, yeah.
And he knows how to help himself.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not going to, sabotage myself. I'm going to make sure that I get someone else to get this cigar going for me. Okay, so back to you.
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but there is some more cigar smoking in some future features that he must have figured it out at some point.
Maybe he embraced it at some point.
Yeah.
Might have embraced the
Or
dizzy.
maybe he got help and he's not really doing a deep inhale.
Now, the next sort of jump
So
ahead.
we're skipping his Academy Award nominated for Best Live Action Short.
Yeah, the only thing he
no,
ever
it-
directed, and he got nominated for
Little
it.
surprises.
Oh, nice.
I don't know it.
Nope, don't know. I mean, 1996.
But good for
wasn't
him.
quite paying attention.
You're gonna have to get a copy of it from him.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeff, do you have a
Maybe.
copy of that on your phone or a Vimeo link I could see?
Let's call him.
We will. I do want to see it now. Little surprises, which
I'd love to watch
is like
it.
the perfect name for something that he would do. Like, oh, a little surprise.
That's what I bring to each character. Something I didn't
yeah.
tell the director I was going to do. Just a little surprise. What? Well, I'm keeping my left eye closed the entire
A little
scene.
bit of Jeff. That's what the little surprise
I
is.
like that. Okay, so you got nominated too. All right.
All right, where are you going?
I was gonna say it's the next Jurassic Park. He comes back, The Lost World.
It's a whole different feature set because I just rewatched all three of those. And,
Okay.
and
You're the
two,
expert.
Yeah, two is he is the main character in two. He is the only one with the experience. Vince Vaughn's face is pointed away from the camera like almost the entire time. I forget he's in it most of the time. I'm like, Vince, what are you doing in this? Oh, right, you're a camera guy and like trying to be, a real security guy. You're not playing a goofball character in front of it trying to like get the girl like I expect you to.
Yeah,
So-
that's a Vince Vaughn.
yeah. So
Yeah.
like, he's really the main character in this one, and it's an action film. So it's not as much of the love fest, and
He's still dressed in all black
yeah,
with a
well.
different style leather coat.
but he ends up with Julianne Moore, his ex-wife, the entire time. So there's not going to be like a sexual tension.
I just thought it was a girlfriend, but
I think it's an ex-wife and also a daughter.
right.
Yeah, it's all a challenge. It's very challenging. He
He's-
shouldn't have gone.
But he's still great in it, no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, he holds up. And I was going to say, I feel like he took a pivot. Now, John, are we allowed to jump forward?
I don't know. You had jumped two things, so I
We
don't know
can't
how
do it
much-
all. We can. I'm going to jump quite a few.
Yeah, all right.
This is actually, I think, represents a shift or a new dimension in his arsenal, sort of his characters that he's building. And is one of my favorites. And he's not a lead in it, but Igby Goes Down.
Yeah.
2002. He plays DH. This is sort of adds a little bit of I don't want to say villain evil, but a dick. And an intelligent dick, a dick with a lot of money. So also it's sort of like the sophisticated asshole.
A rich dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super confident,
Oh.
cocky. Yeah.
Power male. And it is a movie I highly recommend for those of you that like Succession.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of probably the first adult Kieran Culkin.
It was a breakout for him. That was
For sure. It's an independent film. Claire Danes is in it. Amanda Peet, Ryan Phillippe, Bull Pullman, Susan Sarandon. I mean, a huge
Amazing
all-star cast, but by no means a blockbuster. And in 2003, but it is so well done. It's sort of a New York Montauk, vibe of upper crust of New York and a young man trying to find his place in that world.
Mm-hmm.
And he plays what would have been Igby's sort of mentor or guide, and how he gets irritated with him. And there's an element with Amanda Peet I think that was a star turn for her as well, because she's a knockout in it, and she has some struggles in it. Her character does, that show her in a very unique light. And these are flawed characters.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So Igby Goes Down is one of my, where you go, Jeff Goldblum. Oh, whoa. Like, very different, where
Not as fun, but
yet
really amazing.
He still is appealing in it.
Yeah.
It's very hard to play.
Well, he's got a lot of charisma, like just generally.
Yes. It's very hard to play that type of character and not turn off your audience unless you're charismatic.
Right.
So, and he nails it. So Igby Goes Down from 2002, it's a comedy, but it definitely has dark elements in it. Like, it's sophisticated humor. There's not laugh out loud, but that, I think, took a turn. If you were a casting director, or if you thought you understood what Jeff could do, that would make you start to look at him in a different light.
Well, especially coming off of such big blockbusters to do something like that, which was much more, small and strange. Yeah, very interesting.
Then he gets with
before we get into one of our favorite periods, or his collaborators, I did one of really the only additional thing I watched going into this, Spinning Boris.
Yeah. What is that?
I was like, what? All right, sure.
What is it? I gotta watch.
Him and Liev Schreiber and Anthony LaPaglia are political campaign, managers, and they get hired, and this is apparently a true story, get hired, out of America into Russia to help Boris Yeltsin's first,
I was
first
going to say, Boris Yeltsin?
Yep.
That's crazy.
First democratic election in Russia. It was not as funny as I thought it would be, but it is very funny. But he is, star of it, and he's very Jeff, and it's quite good.
Where'd you watch it?
It's on Amazon right now.
All right.
A lot of shirtless Jeff. He even does some...
Oh, well, wait, hold on.
Wait,
okay,
why is he shirtless in a Russian
they're constantly...
political thing?
Well, because...
I go for it.
Sure. No one can know that they're there. So they're like locked up in this hotel room or hotel. And then they're also, having meetings, at the behest of all these like 75 factions, which is great. One of the things that they don't ever, I feel like they kept doing this and then they really didn't quite capitalize on nailing it, but it's like, you have been hired. I will call Boris and tell him that I will tell Boris we have the Americans. That happens like 6 times. It's like, this person says that, then this person says that, then this person says that, then this person says that. So,
worth watching is what you're saying.
Spinning Boris.
Yeah. So they're locked up in this, so they're getting woken up, out of their beds. He's, of course, Anthony LaPaglia is constantly wearing like 4 layers, even from bed. Liev Schreiber is wearing like shorts and maybe boxers,
like
or I don't know, something. But like, fully clothed. Pretty much. But our man Jeff constantly comes out in just boxers.
Oh my God, I'm watching it.
Whenever
Good for him.
from
Good
bed,
for him.
And then he does do a workout, though, clothes workout. So, there you go.
Thank you for doing that deep research.
Yeah, didn't realize it was directed by Roger Spottiswoode of Bond and Turner and Hooch.
Oh,
So,
really?
there you
Okay. All right. Okay, well, now we're at it.
We're going to jump a little bit.
No, well, not from Spinning Boris. Spinning Boris, we're only going 1 year forward to Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou.
Now, I think this is his first appearance in a Wes Anderson film.
It is. And
hello, Wes. I mean, this was a collaboration that was long overdue.
Apparently, they had just a general meeting. I guess somebody, like his agent or somebody, manager, called him and was like, would you like to have a general meeting with Wes Anderson? And Jeff was like, yes, I would. So,
Wes. Ooh.
let me think about
Wes
that.
is in the Anderson Wes. Yes, I would like to meet
but
him.
not the magnificent Ambersons? No.
So they apparently met, and Life Aquatic was not even written at that point. It was in, it was like
Really?
in sort of like it was in process.
Right.
And he just said, I'm doing this movie about a guy whose friend was killed by a big fish, and he's now trying to track this fish. This is Jeff, like his recollection of this meeting, which is hysterical in this interview.
All these meetings you end up hearing about are also.
I
like,
love them. This is my favorite
doesn't
thing.
Make any sense for what you ended up. This is crazy.
It's hilarious.
But if you haven't even written it yet, how are you going to describe it? Go ahead.
So he says, it's this guy and his friend was killed by this fish, and now he's trying to find this fish.
Esteban.
And there might be something in it for you. And Jeff was like, yeah,
The
absolutely.
fish? I mean,
Like, whatever. And then, months later was like, come on in. And I guess they did.
How do you feel about coffee makers?
Oh, God, funny. So I guess they didn't really audition. And he said he came in and they did a table read. And he said some amazing actors, some who ended up being in it, some who did not. And he was just one of the, and he's like, well, I guess I did a good job at this table read because then I was in the movie.
did he say what part he was doing? Was it the same part? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Alistair Hennessey.
Yeah.
So-
Oh, my
Now,
God.
Life Aquatic, because we are huge fans and we've done an episode on Wes Anderson. So pretty much you can be critical on some of his films, but overall, I always think there's so much positive to take away.
Well, and it wasn't as well appreciated when it first came out. It was not a big hit. But now you should everyone should love it.
I friggin' loved it when it came out because I think of the generation. We weren't watching it in real time, but Jacques Cousteau.
Oh, yeah.
There was a little homage to him. There was a National Geographic element of the ocean. I mean, it's this attention to detail and the world building. And Angelica Houston she just plays such a passive aggressive,
Oh, she's amazing.
disconnected, either spouse or mother. And Bill Murray, I just thought some of the roles were so well portrayed and the world was so full that, you could just, there was so much. And then his character, like
Well,
I
as
said,
Bill
kind of
Murray's
goes to
like-
the
yeah.
aristocrat asshole.
Well, he's his nemesis. I mean, that's really
His nemesis with money.
Yeah.
So it's like you see
and much more
Zissou,
successful.
right? Who's basically like
Sucking up all the grant money.
exactly, he's basically duct taping his submarine, whereas Alistair Hennessey has like the most sophisticated equipment.
pristine.
I
Everything's
mean, if you're going to
perfect.
keep, this jungle would be tougher to keep your whatever white, but it's still in the ocean. That's got to be a challenge. Oh, no, we're going to repaint it again. It's been a month. Time to repaint it.
And just his, the all white outfit, the scarves, the glasses, the hair slicked back, and
Perfection.
Then the arc of it. If you have not seen it,
Get on it
I highly
immediately.
recommend
Yeah.
it. But it is quirky. It's a bit odd. So but there are so
Parts
many.
of that arc don't age well, but otherwise, it's very enjoyable.
I mean, William Dafoe. I mean, he barely has any lines in it. And he's such a freaking genius in it. But anyways, dare you to quote him?
I wish I could. There's the one about him leading the B team and then putting him on the flag. It's fantastic.
It bodes so well for Wes that these huge actors are willing to take parts that, quite honestly, you have to do backstory. You have to build the character out. You have to make choices.
Well, and to be so weird and quirky, but make it seem like real, it's such an interesting choice.
Oh my God. There's the scene where they have to rescue Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That whole
Sequence.
is amazing. And then, that's the coffee machine. I mean, there's just so many little things. And this is a class example of Jeff. Like, there are no small parts. I mean, he just nails his character in every scene he's in. He's so that person. Oh God, that's another one of my favorite Jeff Goldblums. Like, it is just
It is
chaos.
amazing. It is
It's
an amazing
so good.
performance.
Almost like a Alan Rickman being told by J.K. Rowling, like, what his character's innermost secret is that's not even in the books that he gets to play off of and like have that. You almost get like a Jeff's character in Steve Zissou isn't as surface as like it's not his best friend, it's not the fish that killed him, it's not his ex-wife that he's going to visit. Like, you find out about him at the end, you're like, oh, there was a little bit more to your character the whole time. Now when I watch this movie, I'm gonna have a different sense of why you're in that scene that way and how you're playing that character. Just like his rich asshole, being able to buy everything character, they don't give you any more of that until they rescue him, and then they give you a little bit more, and it that feeds back across that character if you watch it again knowing that.
Mm-hmm. I believe he does that with most characters. He does something that is only knowledge to himself, but feeds who the character is.
It's that layering.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, God, like I said.
So it's interesting that the Will and Grace came after Life Aquatic, because I know that Life Aquatic didn't do super well. It wasn't like a blockbuster, but it feels like, oh, you're so interesting that you're going to do this Wes Anderson movie, then you're going to go do some TV. Mm-hmm. It's just, I don't know. It's so interesting what he did in what order, And
then he's willing to do what are small independent films. I mean, he does a lot of them.
Have you seen this Faye Grimm with Parker Posey?
No, love Parker Posey.
I have seen it, but it's been so long I remember almost nothing about it. But it was pretty fun. They didn't get to be super fun. It was a little serious. But those two, of course, are always going to find some moments.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Faye Grimm in 2006. Yeah. I mean,
I
Parker
did see
Posey,
Man
amazing.
of the Year. I remember that with Barry Levinson and
Robin
Williams. I do remember seeing that. But that's not one I look back on and go, oh, it's such a standout for Jeff.
Yeah, for sure.
Goldblum. And
there are the obvious ones.
Yeah, if you almost skip forward to go.
Well, apparently we should at some point watch this mockumentary, Pittsburgh, about him securing a green card for his girlfriend by playing regional theater.
What?
Oh, my God. Are you kidding me?
I'm just reading the blurb.
Ironically, he is from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
It's a real thing?
A mockumentary. So,
He's playing himself.
I have to see
in a
that.
Mockumentary.
Yeah. I love anything with regional theater.
Where is it?
Oh, my gosh.
It's 2006 also. That's all I know.
Jeff, I love regional theater. Anything, I just love that as a backdrop. So
I'm saying, where can we see it?
I don't know. Let's move on.
Okay, so let's.
You're the worst.
I can't move on that far though. So 2010 though has my two favorite parts of Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, go.
So The Switch with Jason Bateman.
Oh.
He's playing his friend, business partner.
Well, I know one of the directors, Josh Gordon.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So Jeff he's not a lot, but he's, gets to be real. Like, oh, I'm here. All right, what are you doing? No, I don't think so. Well, you showed up here out of your mind talking about Vikings. And you're like, yeah, this seems crazy. So I've loved that little part of it.
So The Switch with Jason Bateman and Jennifer Aniston, directed by
Patrick Wilson, the Viking. Yeah.
Josh Gordon and Will Speck. And I've known Josh, his sister-in-law, for most of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So the other one, Morning Glory. Oh, I mean, love Rachel McAdams, Patrick Wilson again. But then, so Jeff Goldblum is the man at the network who hires her, sure, I'll hire this. I mean, I was about to do a Devil Wears Prada quote, but he has a similar quote about hiring her. But anyway, he hires her, and then it's like, well, if you get the ratings up, or we cancel the show. And it's like, and then she's constantly hounding him. She finds him on a run, and he's running, and she's got all his stuff.
I did see that.
Oh, it's so good.
I remember that scene specifically.
Yeah, that's why that scene I remember it. Okay.
That almost reads like they didn't hire Jeff Goldblum for that. He was just around, and he was willing to play the character. He's like, no, I'll be on a run. You can stop me in the middle of this run, and I'll do the scene.
Yeah, he doesn't get as much time, and it's not really as fun. It's more, he's more dicky in it, but I still really like it.
Oh, and produced by J.J. Abrams and Brian Burke, Bad Robot.
Oh, Morning Glory. I definitely, maybe every 2 years I would want to watch that.
Really?
Oh,
all right. Well,
I find it so funny just because working in morning television for so many years.
Yes, and I having not, you have a little bit of it's almost, you don't want to see it in some ways, but I'm also forgetting.
I really like it. It's it's fun.
Yeah, I'm also forgetting Harrison Ford and Diane Keaton. I mean, it's just, it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I need to go back and see that again. I actually did like that movie a lot. Now can we
go to his second in the
Wes Anderson
Deputy Kovacs?
Yes, the Grand Budapest Hotel, which is, I think, one of the more commercially successful Wes Anderson movies ever. It received tons of nominations. Just color palette, cinematography,
visually
characters.
Stunning, yeah.
I mean, it hit all of Wes Anderson's cylinders at high. And it was, he hits a repertoire. He works with the same actors again and again. And I think once you get in there,
sure,
even if it's a small part, you're not going to say no.
Oh, no. And you're also going to, in Jeff's case, and in most of the people that are in Wes Anderson's movies, they're just going to chew it up and do the biggest, best thing they can with that character.
And imagine you've got a repertoire and films that you've been doing and visual style that is Wes Anderson, and then you're going to bring in the fantastic level that Jeff Goldblum brings, but also knowing that that's going to be added. He's a different size person. You're going to like do all of your Wes Anderson framing and visual stuff with, ooh, now I got a tall dude. This is great.
Now I got Jeff.
Now I got Jeff. Let's do some extra tall stuff.
In the combination with 635 amendments, notations, corrections, and letters of wishes executed during the subsequent decades. God, I mean, he is so fun.
That was impressive, John.
I looked it up because it was like I wanted to put codicils. That is in a different part of it. An additional codicil delivered into my possession by post only this morning, and by all indications sent by Madame D during the last hours of her life. I mean, it's so good. He's so
I mean,
fun.
even that you're reading that was impressive.
No, it's,
well, that's sure fine.
you know, that is the dialogue of Wes Anderson.
Oh, yeah.
He is.
And he's a perfect match for it.
Yeah. I mean, he has the rhythms and deliverable in a way that you're like, oh my gosh, it just seems so believable as the character. So,
Which is interesting because Jeff often does the stammery,
Right.
like that's part of his performance thing that he does. Not in these characters. Sometimes he's just
Yeah,
got to like bullet deliver.
Yeah.
I was watching. I was like trying to figure out like what is that about? Like if you hear any interviews with Christopher Walken, he'll be like, "Oh yeah, I just take the punctuation out of the sentences, and that's why they sound super weird." You're like, "Well, yeah, if I didn't know where I was going with the sentence, it would be real weird like that." So I was listening to how he was talking in Jurassic Park, the Lost World Jurassic Park, and it changes between when he's talking to an adult and when he's talking to the kid, but it's close enough that I was like, "Oh." The entire time that he's talking and all the pauses that he's doing, he's still doing the sing-songy up and down that you normally do with your voice. It's just, there's all sorts of filler stuff in there.
Yeah, to me, it's I don't know, this is an actor's note. Sometimes actors are supposed to be like making it up on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that vibe of like, I don't know what I'm saying until I'm saying it. That's what he does almost all the time. Versus like,
Well, you can like see it on his face that he's thinking about the word,
which
so
is
it's a fantastic
genius.
job.
It's a great thing that he does.
All right, so then we jump back into Independence Day Resurgence 2016. It's pretty amazing because he's back. Will Smith is not. Bill Pullman is. So you have some of the players. I think Judd Hirsch is in this one as well. And David. And
Amazing.
it is, these aliens, these fuckers have figured it out how to take us down again.
What
so
jerks.
we have to come back. And one of my favorites, William Fichtner's in it,
Oh, from Wings.
Yeah. So did not do as well as the first one,
Yeah.
but he was still great. There's
Well, he always is. Yep.
so then we're gonna jump into
Where are you going to jump to? Because you can't. I've got something lined up.
okay, line it up.
Well, so we've already talked about Marvel. So we're done with that. Is that what's
Well,
happening?
I just was saying like he appeared in Guardians of the Galaxy and then Thor Ragnarok and was nothing but a delight in it.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was very hedonistic and very narcissistic in it. And
Well,
just
and I
fabulous.
love he talked
I mean, had a sexy spaceship. So
Yeah.
Oh, come on. He talked a lot about working with Taika Waititi and that was such a great collaboration. And he thinks he's so just genius and funny and amazing. And they did a lot of, just keep the camera rolling. And I've got to say this line and try this line.
Well,
and just,
I do think I should have a silver thing painted here.
I mean, what?
Like,
He's
okay,
just
yeah.
amazing.
That was another one you could tell he was just having a lot of fun.
Yeah, a ball.
A lot of
Although,
fun.
I mean, again, he's got to be. How much around him is a green screen like? So fantastic job.
Right, exactly. Okay, so
I can't even see what I'm talking about. Sounds good. Let's
so
do it.
I'm just bedazzled in
I
my
mean, he does
situation.
that.
Can you even
That's his
imagine the
favorite thing.
not the outtakes,
Oh.
because I don't want the wrong takes, but just him, his crowd talk in between would have been. So where's that? Okay, all right. Oh, it's Oh God. Oh,
What's
you
moving
guys
over
are
there?
amazing.
Oh,
He's so positive. I mean,
Apparently.
His ability to stay like in the surprised moment while
Oh, yeah.
simultaneously actually watching the behind the scenes and the set be like put up in front of him, like, oh, that's going to be an elephant now? This is amazing. I believe everything you're doing.
Oh, he's so great.
Okay, so where were you going to go, John?
Almost not film, but it was like an HBO film, that Tour de Pharmacy. Also
was that?
2017.
Yeah.
Remember, that was the one, it was, Andy Samberg. Yes.
I do remember that.
And I
it
had
was
to
a
look up-
Bicycle.
Yes.
It was crazy.
And I had to look up because I had forgotten. Yes, Jeff Goldblum plays Andy Samberg in the present day.
What? I had forgotten that.
Dress, and one of the things Andy Samberg is doing, in his whatever it was, 70s or something, is dressed in like crazy outfits. So then Jeff gets to dress in crazy outfits, which is very enjoyable.
Because that's sort of a spoof on the Tour de France and drug doping and cyclists, and it is
Beyond
it's insane.
crazy.
There's some dick jokes,
Full frontal jokes. Yeah.
I mean,
How much does he have his shirt on?
Well, I think Jeff.
he does.
This is shirt on time.
Because he's mostly doing like the sit down interview talk
Right,
part
right.
of it, like reflecting back on the shenanigans.
Right. And so so that's is that still available on
Yeah, it's probably.
It's like HBO
on
or something,
HBO,
I
yeah.
would guess.
HBO Max? Oh gosh, it was such a dumb, funny spoof. I mean, of that, just
Well, and
stupid.
like ironically, also in that sports documentary vein,
Yes.
hilarious.
Why wouldn't it be? Andy knows that that's what we need.
it hit all the things I like. So now we're back into
The Wes, Isle of Dogs.
Isle of Dogs, which is one of my favorite. Wes Anderson.
I heard a rumor.
Oh my God.
So he's a voice of one of the dogs on the Isle, and just
Well, he goes. I mean, theoretically, the Isle is where they go to, right?
right. Yes.
Yes.
Or they got kicked off of Island of Japan to Trash Island or whatever it was called. I think it might have been called Trash Island. So yes, so still on Isle of Dogs. You're correct.
It's so good.
I heard him sharing two funny little anecdotes about this. So the first thing is he's cast to play one of the voices, and he's supposed to do a joint session. I don't remember if it was like everybody, but it was like Bryan Cranston and Edward Norton and Bill Murray, but he was either out of town or couldn't do it. And he's like, so I didn't get to do it with them. So instead, I had to do it by myself with just Wes talking to me over the phone. But that was actually quite delightful. Just having Wes in my ear say, try this, do that, maybe take another one. I mean, it was so funny because he was like, when you hear about an animated movie, you almost never are with anybody.
Right.
A lot of times it is just over the course of 2 years you're recording, by
It
yourself.
feels like they. It's weird. I don't know if it's 50-50 or if it's 20%, but they do sometimes try to have it
At
together.
least two
Yeah.
people, if they're sharing a scene, they'll try for chemistry and, timing or whatever.
Especially the more comedy related it is, which when is it not? But then they really want them together.
Yeah. So unfortunately, for whatever reason, timing, he was unable to do it with everybody else. But he was like, ooh, it's ended up being kind of a good, like just me and Wes working together. And then the other thing that I thought was so funny is he said that he was doing press for it. And that's when he realized that Isle of Dogs is actually I love dogs. Like he kept saying it, and somebody would like say it to him, and he was like, oh, wait, is that what that is? Oh, it's I love dogs. I never realized that if you say I love dogs, I love dogs, I love I love dogs. Oh, it was very funny that he literally,
The movie
I
was
had
done in the can. Okay.
Well,
I had never realized that until he said it. I was like, oh, you think you're not getting it. I didn't get it till you just told me right now. So anyway, I thought that was very funny.
I don't
love
think
dogs.
I got it till right now.
I love dogs.
It's one of those
apparently.
like while you're watching it, because there's the two factions, the cat, clan or whatever it was, and then the dog, regular people. There's a sort of underlying, like you almost figure it out, but then probably not. Yeah, so it wasn't fully explained. It was a little too West. We didn't know.
I was just too hyper focused on that it was an island. I couldn't hear that it was anything than
Island
an
Nublar.
island.
It had more to do with me having to read everything that wasn't in English. And
Oh, God,
there's
yeah.
a lot of
God.
visually graphic design style in that movie. So I was like not trying to get the real subtle title they gave me.
Yeah, I was.
Hey, it wasn't a spelling joke. It was a sounds like joke.
Yeah,
so.
I love a spelling joke. No, I don't ever get them. What?
Well, we love Jeff Goldblum.
It's true. We've got then he had the cameo in the next Jurassic World, or not cameo. Sorry, but he had the 2 short scenes.
Right. Which,
A little bit is better than nothing.
And now we're
he
going
sort of
into,
anchored it,
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
And now we're going to get even more in this next one.
which I can't wait.
As
and he's
well
been
as
doing
him
a
in
lot
Thor.
of at
The new
Thor,
Thor.
yeah, the new Thor, and he's been doing the promos for both, and it's just it's gonna be the summer of Jeff.
I know that this is not a direct Jeff Goldblum note, but in the same way, if you watched any of the Marvel, what are those, like the one-offs where it's like
The What If?
not the What If series, but they're like these little vignettes of Thor gets a roommate.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can only fathom them doing a Jeff Goldblum where he loses a spot in the planet and now he's got like, oh yeah, no, I found this thing called apartments.com. It's great.
Oh, that would be fun. So they should do something like that. Yeah.
And then he like does exactly what Thor did, which is assume and expect your roommate to just to take care of everything and like, oh, we need more beer. So I went out and bought more glasses. And then he smashes the glasses. I don't know if he understands where money comes from.
Oh, jeez. I
We need
mean,
to
I
clean this
can't
place.
with you right
so
now.
he hired a butler.
I should have done this in the time, but I was skimming back through everything again, and I was like, oh, right, there's that 1980 Legend of Sleepy Hollow where he plays Ichabod Crane.
what?
Talk about typecasting.
I know, but it's a TV movie, so it's also available nowhere.
Wait,
but-
live action?
Yeah.
Bring that back. We need to see that.
know.
Okay,
All right,
so we're
that's all we
huge
got.
fans of him, but Ed, you wanted to bring up one little
Oh, right, yes.
tidbit.
Oh yeah, that being huge fans of his doesn't mean that we only watch the content that is put in front of us. Sometimes we seek out the thing that we are a fan of. And I don't know if we all went at the same time or you, Liz, went at multiple times and I went with you once and you went with John another time. But Jeff Goldblum is infamous for his jazz piano.
Oh, yes.
And he totally has had a club in Los Angeles where he's played jazz piano, and it's the covers, and he sings, and it's not
Stand-up bass.
Yeah, it's not
and-
like an intimate affair, but there's maybe 150 seats total.
It's
so,
not a concert.
Yeah, it's not big as far as like the venue.
It's a club.
But it's big enough that, like, my pictures, it's Jeff Goldblum from a distance, but you can't zoom in and see his face.
Because he wears his hat, a little hat.
And this
He's
is a couple
very
of years
jazzy.
ago. Oh, yeah.
What I loved about the times I've gone, he will call up people from the audience to sing songs. And
What?
his reactions to people singing is so funny because you feel like, how can this not be rehearsed or how can these people not be planted? But I'm going to just go with the naive,
Believe it,
that this is just people raising their hand and getting up and singing as if they were at a cabaret, and
Okay.
he can do it in their key and all that, and there are a lot of attractive women, and they'll come up and like fever, and he's like, whoa, on his piano, like, oh yes, yeah, and he's like,
Jazz improv. come on.
jazz improv, and oh yeah, and he's like, the way he reacts to whoever, and it's male and females getting up in all shapes, sizes, and ages, but I mean, his reacting to them is well worth going because it's like, it's very Jeff how he's reacting.
From a kid's perspective, it's the equivalent of the Chuck E. Cheese band. It's like, this is amazing. They're doing this is reacting live to what I'm doing. This is perfect.
Yes.
So getting up on stage with Jeff Goldblum, he gives you the full Goldblum. He's not toning it down at all. He's having a great time with you, especially if you could sing.
Well, he is a great time, and that's why we are huge fans of Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
He has, 30 plus years or 40 plus years of material? You can go.
Well, 74. We're about to hit, so we're currently about to hit 50 years of stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
So, and some of it still exists. So, well worth going back to watch a lot of it. And this summer, Jurassic Park and Thor, he'll be well represented in his show on Disney Plus. I highly recommend.
Oh, it's so good. I
all
love it.
Jeff. So, all right. So we are huge fans of Jeff Goldblum. We'd love you to like, subscribe at
Huge Fans Podcast.
and leave comments. Let us know who you're huge fans of, or if we forgot about something about one of the podcasts, huge fans we talked about. So once again, Jeff Goldblum, we are huge fans of yours.
Thank you for listening.